Welcome back to Game Talk from the Bench. I'm your host, Drew Barreto, and today I'm here with my guest, my uncle, Andrew Barreto. And today we're going to be covering more of round one of the playoff games. Another thing we'll be talking about is one of the top quarterbacks finally got drafted in the NFL draft on day 4 or day 3. And former NBA legend has become the general manager of a college basketball team. So we'll be talking about that as well. But to start us off, our last episode, we recorded on Friday, and I don't believe we got to finish off one of the games. And that was game 3 between Timberwolves and the Lakers. That game was just dominance by the Timberwolves. They won 116-104, took a pivotal game 3 in Minnesota. I believe Jaden McDaniels led the Timberwolves. Yeah, he had 30 points. Anthony Edwards had 29. And then for the Lakers, I mean, LeBron had 28, Reeves had 20, but Luka only had 17. And this game was just complete dominance from Minnesota from start to finish.
Yeah, they look like they're ready to close them out. Anthony Edwards, he wasn't being denied, and 43 points to show, and yeah, he was really he's motivated. You can see them fighting out there on the court. They're trying to, I guess they're trying to bring just some physicality to these playoffs. It seems to be the tone this year, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, this is for the aged LeBron and crew. I mean, this is an uphill battle, right? So we'll see, what they could do there. See if they could get a couple of wins and force a game 7. But yeah, again, that's going to be a tough one. But yeah, there's some good games going on right now.
Yeah, most of the series have been well besides the Thunder and Cavs series. Cavs in game 3 in Cleveland, in Miami, actually. They dominate Miami 124-87. Not much to talk about that game. Complete dominance from the number 1 seed Cavaliers. And game 4, Grizzlies without John Morant, obviously most people expected to blow out. They were already down 3-0 in the series. However, they did show some fight in them. They only lost by 2. They lost 117-115. I know Jaren Jackson Jr. was trying to carry the team to a victory, but it just wasn't enough. Santi Aldama had 23. Scottie Pippen Jr. dropped 30. Jaren Jackson only had 12 himself, but Desmond Bain 23, and then ended up losing. Thunder moving on to the next round, led by Shea, who had 38, and Jalen Williams, who had 23. But yeah, the Thunder sweep the Grizzlies in 4 games, and once again, I believe John Morant's injury really shifted that series. I ultimately believe the Thunder were going to win, but if John Morant doesn't get injured, I believe they win, I think, 2 games in the series.
At least, right? We'll see what happens. It's interesting now. They got swept, like you said, and looks like they had a little bit more fight when Morant's in there. I think during the regular season too, they played well without Morant when he was dealing with his
Yeah, they have.
injuries.
I don't know the exact record, but yeah, in previous seasons when they played without John Morant, they seem to play really good basketball, and that's nothing against Ja. Ja's a great player, putting up like 22 plus points a night. But yeah, it does seem like that Grizzlies team has plays better without John Morant. Even though in game 3 they were up 20 with Ja,
Mm-hmm.
he once he got injured, they ended up losing that game.
That was
The
it.
Thunder came back, and now they end up getting swept.
Yeah, what do you think? I mean, they're in the off season now. Do you explore trade offers or for John Morant, or I mean, it just that whole like we talked about it before, the coaching being fired, Ja probably having something to do with it. It's on and off his off court personality that he's bringing to the court, and I don't know if you saw any of the videos of him just like putting his hand, don't look at me, don't talk to me, kind of thing that
Yeah,
he was doing at the game. I mean, just the is it immaturity? I don't know. I mean, is it do you hold on? Do you I don't know. Personally, I think it might be time to move on. These guys, there's a lot of guys still there on the Grizzlies that could win you ball games. Like I said, they were pretty. They did a good job without him, and I don't know. We'll see what happens, right?
Yeah, they could deal Ja or they could deal someone like Desmond Bain and try to get Ja and Jaren Jackson the third option. But yeah, it's gonna be a weird offseason for the Grizzlies. They're gonna need to find a head coach and find that missing piece to that team. Um, and then game four, Nuggets Clippers. Nuggets were up 20 points almost this whole game. They were dominating. Clippers ended up making a comeback and the most wild game winning bucket you will ever see happen in that game. Closing seconds, Jokic getting double team, step back for a deep, I believe it was a deep two, airballs it, and Aaron Gordon dunks it right before the buzzer sounds off. And I remember watching that live, and I was just like, wow. And they were showing every camera angle possible. They even have like the new sky view where they're showing down onto it, and it's just like how
Yeah.
slow they went. It was like between two frames. The first frame, Gordon's hands on the ball. Next frame, the ball's through the rim, and the
Mm.
buzzer's off. And it's just
Very close.
That game was crazy. I thought the Clippers were gonna pull off the comeback and win. Obviously, Jokic didn't drop a triple double this game, but he had 36 points, 21 rebounds. For the Clippers, Kawhi was very clutch in that fourth quarter. Um, he had 24 points. I mean, look at the box score. I mean, the Nuggets led at half. Then they won the third 35-17, and then the Clippers they like totally switched. Clippers won the fourth 34-16, but once again they ended up losing 101 and 99. Um, and just not enough. It looked like from James Harden. James Harden played 43 minutes, and he dropped a double double with 15 points and 11 assists. But it's just nothing from the bench as well. But you got to expect more from James Harden, especially in a game like that where it was so close and only a couple, only one bucket separated the game.
Yeah, back and forth. It seems like this whole series back and forth, and this is a series I think, like I said before, they beat each other up. They go, I think it goes the distance to Game 7. I know they're playing tonight, and yeah, I expect it to be more of the same. Just uh, guys exchanging baskets and close victories, and someone's going to pull it out. Yeah.
Yeah, this series will go to seven. It's just a matter of who's winning that seventh game. But moving on to game three of the Rockets Warriors. Obviously, in game two, Jimmy Butler got injured with the pelvic contusion. He was out for game three. It was up to Steph Curry to lead the Warriors, and that he did. Warriors won 104-93. Curry dropped 36, 9, and 7. And he got help from some unexpected guys. Buddy Hield had 17. Gary Payne, the second, had 16. But it was mainly their defense today. I mean, they held Jalen Green, who would drop 38 in game two, to just 9. Sengun only had 15. Van Vliet had 17. And it was just the Warriors dominated most of this game. They were up about like 10 the whole game. And yeah, the defensive plays by Draymond and Gary Payton just led to the Warriors' victory in game three, which was huge for them, especially without Jimmy Butler. And, like I said, Curry got enough help and they got extra rest for Jimmy.
Yeah, the old guys did it again. They pulled out a fantastic victory. Draymond's doing his thing. GP2, yeah, he was clutch. Buddy Hield was knocking down threes. It was a great victory. For them to hold Sengun and like you said, Green to those low amounts in a playoff game. That just shows their defense really stepped up, and that's led by Draymond Green. I was telling somebody earlier, yeah, I know Curry had that fantastic game, but don't forget about Draymond Green on what he brings to the table every single night. And once he's on and once he wakes up, then yeah, watch out.
Yeah, most of it. Draymond just, on the stat sheet doesn't look like he does much, but when you actually watch the game, he does a lot, which is why he won the Hustle Award this past season. But yeah, like I said, Warriors dominated that game without Jimmy. It was a big game for them to win, and they ended up getting it done. And Knicks Pistons, I mean, this game was back and forth the whole game. It came down to honestly the last possession. Pistons got up a shot, grabbed the offensive rebound, kicked it back out to, I believe, Tim Hardaway Jr. And on in real time and on the replay, it did look like Josh Hart fouled him on his 3 point attempt. It looked like he should have gone to the line to shoot free throws. Instead, no call was made.
Hmm.
And the Knicks ended up taking the 3-1 lead on that series, which is very unfortunate for Detroit in a game that they probably should have won. Even after the game, the ref said Hart made illegal contact to the shooter and he should have shot free throws. But tough blow for the Pistons, who have been battling with this great Knicks team. I mean, Cade Cunningham's leading the
Yeah,
way.
they're good.
He had a triple double that game, and just unlucky.
Yeah, they're going at it. They're giving everything they got to the Knicks. They're playing good basketball, and they're not making it as easy as maybe the Knicks
Yeah, it's also been very
thought that.
physical.
Right. So I mean, yeah, it's good. It's good basketball. They could have pulled that one out. Didn't happen. But yeah, they played tonight too, and yeah, we'll let you talk about that too.
Yeah, we'll see if the Pistons can. So yeah, we'll get to that game in a little bit. But game four for Lakers Timberwolves. Obviously, Timberwolves had a 2-1 lead on the Lakers heading into this game. Game four in Minnesota, and this game was it was back and forth. Lakers led. I believe it was tied at halftime. No, Minnesota led at halftime. Lakers had a big third quarter to get them up like 10, and then Minnesota closed it out. It was 114 to 113. Minnesota up one, and um Anthony Edwards going in for a layup gets fouled by LeBron, but they first called it out of bounds on Edwards. It looked to be Warriors ball. Timeout Lakers, but Minnesota head coach Chris Finch challenges the play. And the new rule this year is you can challenge a play. So they challenged the ball being out of bounds on Edwards, but in the review, the refs can look and see if there's any fouls committed. And they saw that they pulled out the sky cam, like I said, which is something new. And they saw that LeBron smacked Edwards' hand before he lost the ball. They called a foul. Edwards shot two free throws, put them up three, and then Austin Reeves missed the game, winning three, and Minnesota ended up winning.
That's something else. That review process there that you said is something new where they could call a foul after that's already been over with. It's like, okay, you can
Yeah.
review that whole play, and if you find a foul, then yeah, we want it.
Yeah, actually, it came from Minnesota last year, I believe, in the Western Conference Finals. Jaden Daniels, um, he had the ball knocked out of his hand by Kyrie, but in the replay, Kyrie smacked his hand, which made him lose the ball. Obviously, back last season, it wasn't a rule, so it was Mavericks ball, but they should have implemented it where they could call the foul if it's seen in the replay. But I mean, the biggest thing probably for this game is, like I said, Lakers only lost by three, but LeBron's playing 46 minutes. I mean, no, they didn't make any Lakers didn't make any substitutions in the second half. LeBron played 46 minutes. Hachimura played 41. Luka played 46. Reeves played 35. I mean, I don't know if that's sustainable to win a game. I
Yeah, these are
know
big minutes.
I know it's a big game that they needed to win, but I don't know if you could play your starting five the whole second half with no risk. Especially LeBron. I know LeBron's still LeBron, but he is 40 years old. That man is up there. He's old, and it's I don't know if it's and then Luca. Luca is young, but his condition isn't the best. Like I said, when Nico Harrison traded him to the Lakers, you said it was because he felt he put on a little weight. He was a defensive liability, and that's what happened. He can only do so much offensively. He exerts most of his energy offensively. I mean, he had 38 points, but defensively they were going after him the whole game. I mean, it was a big game for Anthony Edwards. He had 43 points, led the team. But I have to make one shout out to Julius Randle. Julius Randle's been playing out of his mind this series. I mean, on both sides of the ball, he's looking to play bully ball. He's been really physical. He's been playing looks like his best defense. And even offensively, he's been playing really well. He's been putting up like 20 plus every game, which has been huge because that's what they need to help out, and especially when Rudy Gobert is only putting up like five, if that. Yeah, Rudy Gobert 5 points, and yeah, so big game for Minnesota. But yeah, I don't know if JJ Redick can afford to do that in a must-win game, game five. I don't know if you could play your starters. I mean, especially when you're. I mean, obviously your bench isn't the best, but you gotta trust them just for a little bit. Even Steve Kerr trust his bench when he needs to get Curry a rest, when he needs to get Jimmy a rest. I mean, it's all about trusting your guys.
Yeah, it's just this team. If I'm looking at it too, like you said, the bench, they don't look that good to me. I mean, it's like, yeah, you go from there, and there's a big drop off to Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent, and Finney Smith. Like you said, he has huge numbers for 41 minutes for Finney Smith. It just there's a big drop after LeBron James, Doncic, Reeves, and then the other cast there. But yeah, just my I don't think there's enough there to beat the Timberwolves. They're a little bit deeper, and I think LeBron, unfortunately, he's going to have to log these longer minutes again in this next game. Otherwise, they're going home.
Yeah.
Let's see, where are they playing next? Is it in
And LeBron had no fourth quarter points. He was just,
mm,
you know,
it was
didn't have
Luca
the.
Luca
Yeah.
holding them up, huh?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, if you're looking at the Timberwolves, then you see the bench: Nas Reed, DiVincenzo, Alexander Walker. I mean, those guys could give you double digit points like in a snap of a
Yeah.
finger, if they're given that opportunity. So I do see Gobert here, 5 points, 10 rebounds, but yeah, Randall is the difference there, right? Before it was Cat Tom, Karl Anthony
Yeah.
Towns, they did the trade, and Randall's coming through, helping out Anthony Edwards, win these games. So we'll see if they close them out.
Yeah, we will see game I believe game 5 is tomorrow. And then game 4 Celtics Magic, Celtics end up pulling out 107-98. They end up beating Magic in Orlando in game 4. And then Bucks Pacers. Unfortunate news for the Bucks. Damian Lillard tore his Achilles in that game. He's out for the rest of the season and will likely probably be out all of next season, and that's just tough for a 35-year-old guard
Yeah.
hitting his dog days. I mean, that's a rough injury. At least the difference for Kyrie. Kyrie tore his ACL. He is a little bit younger, and he tore it like a little bit after midway in the season. So, but yeah, that's a tough blow for Milwaukee. Obviously, Giannis, I don't know. The team doesn't look that great. They got blown out 129-103. Obviously, Giannis is putting up crazy numbers,
Yeah.
but it's just they don't have the team around them.
No, it's again, yeah, it's not enough. And if Lillard's, he's got a long recovery there. Um, yeah, well, and then it just drops off from there. They got Bobby Portis, and then you're expecting somebody else to step up, and
They
Kyle
traded for
Kuzma, who's
Kyle Kuzma. Yeah, Kyle Kuzma
Mr.
just has.
Inconsistent.
Yeah,
He's on that list of overrated. Been on several teams, and we know why. I just where's the points going to come from? Giannis is going to have his double, triple doubles, and then after that, it's like yeah, not enough, especially against the Pacers, who are pretty stacked.
yeah, and then yesterday Cleveland dominated, won by 55 against the Heat. Not much to talk about there. They sweep Miami. They're moving on. And game 4, Rockets Warriors. It was like 90's basketball all over again, like it has been all series. Um, Back and forth game. Jimmy Butler did play this game. Yeah, like I said, it was like a boxing match going back and forth. I mean, I don't know how much extra time was in the game. I mean, there's a big
Yeah,
altercation in the second quarter between Dylan Brooks, Draymond. They had to review all that. That took probably like 5+ minutes. But it was the Jimmy Butler and Brandon Pajemski show. Jimmy Butler, like I said, coming off the pelvic contusion, played 40 minutes. He looked good out there. Sometimes he did look like he was wincing, but he got 27 points. And Pajemski, man, played 40 minutes at 26 points. Curry only had 17.
yeah.
I mean,
Pajitsky was
Pajemski,
unbelievable.
yeah, he was making shots. He was making plays. He made a defensive play at the end of the game. Buddy Hield had 15 points. Draymond's defense also won the game. I mean, he was playing with 5 fouls against Sengun. He also got a technical that game. Curry got a technical. Draymond also got a flagrant one. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it was unbelievable. And Sengun at 31. Fred VanVleet had a great game at 25. Amen Thompson had a good game at 17. Jalen Green only had 8 after talking trash to Draymond in game 2. And Quinn Post for Golden State had a big game, 13. But yeah, it was just great. I mean, it was a great game, but it was also very physical. It was very long. Like I said, there's an altercation between Dylan Brooks, Curry, and Draymond, and then there's another altercation between Draymond and Tari Eason, and it was just like I said, 90s basketball guys going back and forth. Jimmy Butler and Dylan Brooks were talking trash. Hard. Jimmy Butler fouled Dylan Brooks pretty hard on a layup, and it came down to the wire,
Yeah.
man. I mean,
And yeah, it was a great game. After they had that Cleveland game first, so they lost by 55, and then that one you could turn it off after the first quarter or whatever it was. But then you had the Warriors and Rockets, and that was just an all-out battle. Sengun didn't get his points until Draymond sat a good part of that second half because he was in
yeah,
foul trouble.
Draymond
He
got like his
was
fifth foul, I believe, with 8 minutes left in the third, and he sat out all the rest of that third quarter,
yeah
and I believe like 4 minutes into the fourth, and then he played a couple minutes, sat back down. But yeah, I mean, it was 107 to 106. Rockets had the ball. Obviously, Fred VanVleet had the hot hand, but they went to Sengun against probably should have been the defensive player of the year in Draymond. Draymond Green got the stop. Jimmy Butler got the rebound. They fouled him, and he makes both free throws. And even before that, Jimmy got fouled on three. He made all three free throws, and he was just clutch at the free throw line. I mean, he was, I think, perfect from the free throw line yesterday, and he came up big when they needed him to. And then to end the game, Fred VanVleet, he put up a deep three, and to be honest, on when watching it, it looked like it was about to go in. But they showed the replay, and
yeah.
it wasn't. It
It
was
was
an air ball,
lined up.
but yeah,
It was there.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, big stop from probably the best defensive player in the last 10 years in Draymond Green. But like I said, with five fouls, he battled with Sengun to end the game. I mean, when Sengun was guarded by Draymond, he only had 6 points that in yesterday's game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Compared to everyone else, he had 25, 26. I mean, it just shows you how great Draymond is. He's only 6'7", but he's got that 7 foot wingspan, and he's just dominance, man. I don't know why teams try to test him up especially in the clutch, man.
they figure that he's getting older and they want to try to test him. They want to, and he takes, that's his challenge, right? Come on, keep bringing your guys. He'll take, I watch a lot of basketball and I've never seen somebody like him who could guard 1 through 5.
Yeah,
He's one day he's guarding Jalen Green and the next one he's guarding Sangoon. He's in there with Steven Adams,
yeah,
again, his stat lines do not paint the picture. I know he had all but again, some of this talk too is the Rockets going at it, trying to get Draymond just to have a reaction, and so he's not going to get walked over. He's the
no,
guy who's going to do all the, like Eason looked like he wanted to try to walk over
yeah.
Draymond Green. There's no way that was going to happen.
Yeah, and Draymond lives for that, man. He's trying to get another guy's head. He lives to get that gets him going. Obviously he had to play a little bit calmer yesterday. He got the early tech, which I believe he didn't deserve. I believe he was trying to de-escalate the situation, and they gave him a tech
Oh
for
yeah,
it. But and then he got a flagrant foul, which I don't believe he deserved a flagrant foul. Obviously, they're basing it off his history, and I know his history isn't great as a Warriors fan. But I mean, they got to stop basing it off his history because I mean, he tripped and his feet were landing down and landed down on Tari Eason's like neck area. I don't believe it was on purpose, but they gave him a flagrant one
it
for
depends
that.
on who you ask. If you're asking
Yeah,
anybody from the Rockets,
yeah,
they're over here. Now he came down with force.
yeah.
He
But
turned over, and it's like what the Rockets are doing too. You see Dylan Brooks; he's out there purposely trying to hurt some of the players there, and he went on that foul. Jimmy Butler, that was 3 free throws. I know they reviewed it, but he jabbed him in the place where he's where you could feel that, right?
yeah,
He's having
cause
that
yeah,
contusion. You could feel that.
after that foul, you saw Jimmy was like wincing.
Yeah.
He was in a little bit of pain. There was a little bit of discomfort. But yeah, I mean, it was physical. Like I said, Draymond had that fifth foul. He had to play calm, and he did. And ended up getting the big stop, and they ended up getting the big win. But it's also a coaching battle. I mean, Steve Kerr playing a little hack a shack with Steven Adams.
Yeah, you're
Once they get
right.
in the bonus, they're fouling Steven Adams to force him to get him out the game because he has been a
He
wreck.
got him out the game.
He's been very good this series on both sides of the ball. He's been getting a bunch of offensive rebounds, and he's been playing great defense. So Curry's been playing a little bit of hack Adams. But then even like running their plays, I saw a thing when one of the Warriors inbound plays, early in the year they ran against the Rockets worked perfectly, and then the Rockets made adjustments to it during these playoffs games. But then Steve Kerr, one of the greatest offensive minds of the past decade, he makes adjustments to his plays on the spot, and he's getting wide open threes for Curry, and
Yeah, we'll
it's
see what happens. We'll see what happens
yeah,
now, right? The Rockets, um, they got a home game coming up, and it's that they'll be playing some big minutes. Again, those they're starters, and um, what was I going to say? The Thompson, Brooks, and Goon. They're gonna throw everything out there.
yeah,
Everything's gonna
but
go out.
if they want to win though, they need more from Jalen Green. They can't have, I heard I keep forgetting who the announcers are because they keep switching. But I believe after game two, after they won, they called Jalen Green a superstar. And in my mind, I was like, he's not a superstar. He's not that consistent to be called one. He wasn't even an all star. Sengun was the all star. It is Sengun's team. He, if anything, is the superstar on that Rockets team. Jalen Green has yet to prove that. I mean, when you're dropping back-to-back games with 9 points and 8 points, and you're talking trash to Draymond, he put up almost the same amount of points as you. I mean, it's just something you can't
Yeah,
be doing.
he's got to go through these ups and downs here, the inconsistency that he has. He has to grow up. He's still a young guy, and expect this team to be in the playoffs more in the future. But yeah, they got to go through these bumps here, and unfortunately, they're going up against an older but wiser Warrior team with just championship pedigree, playoff games experience galore. So
And some,
good luck.
and they
You
got,
you've seen the
yeah,
stat where 95% of the teams with a 3-1 lead win the series. And so good luck. I mean, I want to see you win 3 games in a row against,
yeah,
Curry and Green and
and
company. So we'll
Butler,
see what
yeah, that's gonna be
happens.
tough for them to come back. Maybe they could win another one, but it's gonna be hard. And then today they started off with Bucks Pacers. This game went to OT. Bucks were up 118-117. Huge turnover by Gary Trent, which led to a Tyrese Halliburton game-winning layup. Bucks are out. They lose the series 4-1. And there's now been the question. Like I said, they didn't have Dame. He's
Yeah.
out for the season. But the question now is, does Giannis leave the Bucks? Like I said in a couple of the uh, uh, in one of our past episodes, I said Giannis's biggest mistake was signing that extension in Milwaukee, and it's looking to bite him. I think he does look to leave. Obviously, he won them a championship. He's done what he needed to do in Milwaukee, and I think he now needs to change his scenery.
Change of scenery and maybe explore all his options. He was huge in the game. Looks like triple double. And then Gary Trent actually had 33 too, but it's just too much. Kyle Kuzma, the guy we were talking about, 5 points.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and then just too much now in the off season. We'll see what. Yeah,
yeah,
are they exploring trade calls too on Giannis?
I think they
Um,
should. I mean, I think they're in that point where they need to rebuild. Obviously, this past two seasons they've been like the fourth, fifth seed, but before that they were always top three, and now they're starting to decline. And you can see, guys are only aging. Brook Lopez is turning 38, I believe, next year, and so it's just not sustainable that they have. I think they need to trade away some of their guys they have, kind of do a little reset, gain some assets, gain some picks. But yeah, I think it's time for Giannis to move elsewhere. But
no,
and
I,
then today,
I agree. Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
And then, like I said, Pistons Knicks, which I thought should have been tied 2-2, I believe. Like I said, they got fouled to end the game. But Pistons come out, they get the win, the big win in New York. In Game 5, they win 106-103. They stay alive. They force a Game 6 in Detroit. This series has the potential to go 7. I believe the Pistons could win another one at home and force a Game 7. But I do still believe the Knicks come out on top in the end. And then Game 5, Magic Celtics. This game's still on, but Magic, who had started off great in the first quarter, had like a 12-point lead at one point, but Boston's just dominating. They're up 98-75 with 7 minutes left in the fourth, and it
Oh,
looks like they're gonna move on.
yeah.
So it looks like Boston will get eliminated. And then, like I said, we talked about the Nuggets Clippers series earlier. Right now, Nuggets lead 37-25, and this is in the second quarter with 11 minutes left. But still a lot of time left. So now it's 37-28. But yeah, tomorrow is Game 5. for the Warriors, Rockets, and Timberwolves, Lakers. We'll see if the Lakers go home. We'll see if the Rockets go home, and if so, that'll be huge. That means the second seed and the third seed will be out of the playoffs. Two big upsets. But we're gonna move on to some NFL draft. Um, Last episode we covered about the first three rounds. The third round had ended when we had ended. And Shadur Sanders had not been picked in the first three rounds. Obviously, most teams drafted a quarterback. There was I believe, five quarterbacks drafted before Shadur, but he ended up going to the Browns. The Browns, although who drafted Dylan Gabriel and have Deshaun Watson and Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett on the roster, they drafted Dylan Gabriel in the third round, and then they ended up drafting Shadur Sanders, I believe, in the fifth round. So Shadur is going to Cleveland. He will be in a tough situation, though. I don't know. I mean, he's gonna have to battle out. Right now, they have five quarterbacks on the team. I mean, Deshaun might start on the IR, so right now it technically only be four. But yeah, I mean, the big quarterback from Colorado finally gets drafted. And to me, I don't know if what the Browns are necessarily doing. I mean, they drafted Dylan Gabriel ahead of Sanders, so I don't know if that's the Browns telling us that they believe Dylan Gabriel is better than Sanders or
Yeah.
what. But I mean, you can only there's no shot you could keep all five quarterbacks on the roster. I mean, Kenny Pickett has started. He was a second round pick or first round pick a couple years ago. He sat behind Jalen Hurts last year. Joe Flacco's a veteran, won a Super Bowl. Deshaun Watson obviously was a top quarterback of the league, so it's going to be a very interesting QB situation in Cleveland.
Yeah, we'll see what happens because I think I think they're done with the Deshaun Watson experiment. I think that now they're bringing in all these younger quarterbacks, the Dylan Gabriel, the Shadur Sanders, uh, to see who's gonna line up under center this year. Because I think they're gonna move away from Watson. We'll wait to see on that, but yeah, now it's up to Sanders. I know he dropped; he had higher expectations, and who knows what it was, or things are coming out what it could have been. So we'll see. Now it's up to him to prove everybody wrong, prove all the executives and the teams that passed on him. You could go a couple ways. You could go hit the books, hit your playbook. Hit the practice field, put in the work. Or you could go the way of Jamarcus Russell, who was a first round pick for the Raiders, and wear big chains and hang out at clubs. And we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, they could do that. But speaking of the Raiders, it looked like the Raiders obviously they got an A+ on their draft, which is something I haven't seen since watching the Raiders the past like 5+ years. But they got an A on their draft. Obviously they had Gene T in the first round, the wide receiver Jack Bash in the second round, and Darren Porter from Iowa State in the third round. But they had an old school draft. Al Davis was known for drafting guys with speed, and that's what the Raiders did this year. The cornerback at Iowa State, Darren Porter, is 6'3", ran a 4.3 40. The wide receiver they drafted, I believe, in the fifth round. He's 6'5", ran a 4.3 40. I mean, they drafted a lot of speed. I mean, one of the quarterbacks slash like wide receivers, and he ran like a 4.4. And they drafted a lot of guys with speed. They ended up getting an A in the draft. They got some defensive linemen. They got some defensive linemen, some wide receivers, a couple off an offensive guard, an offensive tackle, of the running back of the future. And I thought they had a pretty good draft. Obviously they missed out on a couple key guys, but they were to trade back, get more picks, and fill in more positions.
Yeah, no, that it was. I did notice that a lot of people are praising the Pete Carroll draft this year, and I mean they did something that's really simple. They needed a lot of players, so and then they just started off getting positions that were they needed. Like they got a receiver. Devontae Adams is gone. There's still a few receivers there, but they need more depth. So they draft one of the better receivers in college, and the same thing running back. Last in the league, they needed a running back. They drafted a lot of defensive guys, offensive linemen. It was just I agree they did a great job. Let's see how everything is put together now in Pete Carroll's system.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It's gonna be a very exciting year for the Raiders. But we're gonna move on. Like I said earlier, an NBA legend became the general manager of a college team, and that NBA legend is the big fella. Shaq has become the general manager for Sac State. Big news for them. Obviously, Sac State is on the come up. You know, they're trying to become for college football wise. They're trying to join. I believe was it the Big Ten, but they haven't done that yet. But they've
Hmm.
been trying to get a lot of that NIL money. They've done renovations to their stadiums, and now I know now for basketball they get Shaq for their basketball team. He's become the new uh, GM for Sacramento State in the basketball. And recently, or the same day today, they also got Mikey Williams, former high school superstar sensation, is leaving UCF for Sacramento State. You know, Williams 6'3", very popular name. He's joining uh, Shaq and going to Sacramento State's last season. He was a freshman. He only had 5.1 points, about 2 rebounds and point 0.7 assists. But now he will get a fresh start at Sac State, and it's just something new we're starting to see with the NBA players becoming coaches and GMs. And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Shaq's in a little of everything, isn't he? That guy's just
Yeah,
unbelievable. I mean, he's analyst, pizza guy. He just invests in
yeah,
so much.
he's the
He's the
guy.
general. He's the general. He's everything. And I'm reading right here that it's an unpaid voluntary role for him. And his says his son's going to be playing for Sacramento State under the new coach Mike Bibby, who's also a former
Yeah,
NBA
former
player,
player,
Sacramento
Men of
Kings.
Kings. Yep, I
He,
did not know
he
that.
some other teams too. Yeah, some other. I just remember him from the Kings trying to knock the Lakers off back in the day with Kobe and Shaq, but that never happened, of course. But yeah, no, this is pretty cool. I think so. Especially you got a name like Shaq. Yeah, look what's already happening. You start saying, okay, I want to go play there for him. He can only give me words of encouragement, and this guy's been through everything. So yeah, I'd like to go play for him. And like you said, it's something that seems to be happening or starting to happen. I don't know. I can't think of any others. I know Curry. Curry's an assistant general manager for his alma mater. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see. Why not?
Yeah, I think it's very cool to see. Um, Obviously, yeah, he'll be with the son. I did not know he was non-paid though. Yeah, head coach Mike Bibby, former player. But yeah, like you said, Shaq's and everything. He's got, I think he owns a couple Walmarts and Papa John's. I believe some Taco Bells. Like you said, he's the general. He's got the commercials. He's on Inside the NBA with TNT. Um,
Icy hot, icy hot. If you
Icy
got some
Hot.
technical,
There you go. He's the DJ. He's DJ Shaq. Um, Shaq
yeah,
Dizzle. Yeah.
yeah. No, he's like we said, he mixed up and everything, and I could just see this him being pretty successful doing this. Looks like they have a new basketball facility this fall. So yeah, some exciting stuff over in Sacramento.
Yeah, Sacramento, not too far from where we're at. But yeah, like I said, Sacramento's trying to get up everywhere. In their athletics, like I said, they're renovating their stadium to fit more people. They're trying to get in a bigger football league. And then like you said, basketball, they got the new facility, new general manager, new head coach. So we'll wait and see on that. But that'll be all for today. Thank you all for tuning in, listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. Turn on your notifications. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, and YouTube. I like to thank my guest, my uncle, for joining me today. And until next time, stay ready.